Finally, the dads have come back to Mondays. You got the Renegade here in his $500 silk shirt,
I dig it.
ready to go one on one with the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham.
There you go.
Early in the broadcast, can't do the MF or
Literally.
don't want to get thrown out. Scott, thank you for the $2 super chat for the great one.
Yes.
For the most electrifying man in all of entertainment. That intro is awesome. Thank you. I greatly appreciate that because I, no disrespect to the old dad's theme and the way we used to come in and everything, but I just felt we needed a little bit more flash. We have been friends for almost 20 years. And we needed an intro that reflected that friendship. Us with wrestlers, us with Disney characters, us doing the movie thing and going to locations. The final image with us and our kids and Woody and Jesse, it just needed to be something more than what it was.
Yes. I applaud that you jazzed up both intros as far as for this show, and then you kept the Heading West theme, which I appreciate on the other intro, but still incorporated more of our what we do on Ask the Dads into that introduction. It's very appreciated. Before we go any further, I should have done this last week on the Greg Cherry Show, but I wasn't able to get this on the air until after Greg was done, and then I kind of been off camera for a while until open mic night. So y'all out there, family, you know who it's for. So there we go. There we go. To absent friends, as they say on more than one Star Trek movie.
Yes, yes. Now, going back to that super chat real quick as we continue to BS a little bit as we open up the broadcast, we have a little something special for our super chats today.
Yes.
For anybody out there that super chats $15, $14.99, whatever the YouTube algorithm does,
damn Apple algorithm,
or more,
yeah,
the first 4 people to donate $15 or more are going to get a copy of Rápidos y Furiosos 7. The Fast and the Furious 7 Spanish language artwork. Now, from what I've been told from all my people in the groups that I'm in, the movie still plays completely in English.
Right.
It's just the cover that is in Spanish.
Yes.
I collect these Spanish language covers as a cinephile because I just think they look cool.
Yes.
I've already got Fast 7 in my collection, but when I saw it there with the Spanish cover, and especially for the price I paid for it, I snatched them up.
Hell yeah.
And I'm passing it down to our fans. So again, for anybody out there that wants to donate $15 super chat or more, the first 4 people will get a copy of that Blu-ray.
And Scott, before JJ goes deep dive into the list, it's not the whiskey itself that burned, it's the memory behind it. Trust me, I got vanilla whiskey for a reason. That shit is smooth as silk. So it's anyway. So anyway.
And going back to his comments about the intro, that's what makes it watching it even better. He's been watching since the beginning.
Unlike me, who doesn't watch very often, and that's this weekend, I know why.
Right? For those of you that tuned into open mic night, that Jeff and I were in the same room together.
Wow.
Afterwards, we went back and we rewatched an old, not even that old, like less than a year old episode of Dad's Not Always on Wrestling.
Yes.
Because I've been in the process of trying to review old episodes.
Right.
Trying to boost up my view count and everything. I am almost at 1,000 views.
There you go.
View hours. Scott, I know you keep asking me. I'm at like 995 view hours now.
Yes.
So we're starting to get back up there to where we're going to crack the 1,000. Still need to get to 4,000.
Yeah, it's such a bitch of an algorithm. It's one of the worst things about this, to be honest with you.
It is, but I'm confident with my fans and the promotion that you've been giving me recently, and the promotion that people like Noah and James and Josh, and to a lesser extent, um, Rift
Yes.
and Greg have been giving me via your promoting me on their channels.
Yes, sir.
I know that it's going to eventually help me in the long run.
Yes.
But that is not what we are here to discuss today.
No, sir.
We are here to discuss, as the title card showed, The Rock's greatest matches, in our opinion.
Subjective, bitches.
Yes, I'm going to see, is that banner?
I think oh, no, there it is. Yep, there it is.
There we go. Hashtag subjective.
As ever.
Hashtag shenanigans. By the
As
shirt.
always. If we're going to be honest.
So
this is going to be one of those where it's definitely subjective, because you figure a 25 plus now year career, because according to the news today, he's cleared his first quarter of 2023. Just saying.
I've been saying it all along, based off of what I have seen on his wiki page.
Yep.
He's got the DC League of Super Pets, and he's got Black Adam in post-production.
And then
that means, aside from publicity and possible reshoots, which I know he's been doing some Black Adam reshoots because I follow his Insta.
Yes.
But aside from, the publicity tours, the red carpets, the Lettermans and Lenos, and whatever
Gaga.
today, because I don't watch today's late
Letterman,
night television.
Oh, JJ's going back to 1992 like I did with my souvenir today. Don't mind him,
Exactly. But aside from that type of stuff, he ain't got nothing he's got to do until after Mania next year. Which means that he could, not that he would, but he could get involved at Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Rumble,
the Clash overseas.
Yeah. He could make his presence felt at any number of places between now and then, and not have to worry about it.
No. Pretty sure
that just makes things even better. And then you watch SmackDown last week, and you hear the taunts that were taken at The Rock during the promo. Of course, the clip on Young Rock where they teased a Mania match. So they're definitely starting the avalanche and that snowball effect to Mania. It's just a matter of when the trigger will really get pulled.
We have learned, Jay, in almost 40 years of him being on camera and something or another, the wise man does not speak without meaning behind it in one way or another.
That's right.
So, and by the way, we didn't really get to talk a whole lot about it on open mic night. To the Usos.
Yes.
They are the ones. They are the undisputed tag team champions, as is Roman the undisputed champion. You got to give a little hate on the memes of Jimmy picking up one set of tag belts while his wife had to give up the other. That's kind of a shitty way to go, y'all. I'm not going to lie. But
they're out of line, but they're not wrong.
Hopefully, this shit will get resolved in a way where everybody is happy, however they're happy. As far as we went into it balls deep Friday, so much so that topic alone was an hour by itself. So Saturday, excuse me. So we're gonna get too deep into it now, but the fact is the bloodline reigns supreme.
If we do have time permitting, once me and Jeff have run through our lists, we will do typical Ask the Dads Q&A with you.
Yes, sir.
As always, a super chat will get us to break our stride a little bit, and especially a $15 super chat, which will allow you to leave with one of these bad boys also.
You basically getting the last Fast and the Furious movie that Paul Walker appeared in for well under retail, folks. Just saying.
With the Spanish language cover.
That's right.
All right. So as it is a wrestling show, it
Yes.
is my esteemed pleasure to start off the day
Yes,
and
sir.
then have Jeff come behind me and say, "Hold my beer."
Well, hold the whiskey in this case.
Yeah.
Yes.
As we stated earlier, this show is definitely going to be subjective because at the end of the day, I love Dwayne, I love The Rock, but at the end of the day, he is not the most technically sound wrestler in the world. So you've got to figure his matches by nature aren't going to be the Northern California 5 6 star classics that people are going to rate them at.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a matter of what entertains you and what draws you to the match. Now, I've got some matches from his return. I've got some matches from Hollywood Rock. I've
Nice.
got some matches from the Nation of Domination days and the
There you go.
Corporation days.
Nice.
But the first one on my list, my number 10, is just a fun because match. The promo backstage alone is what I always think of when I think of this match. Kane,
Yes.
Hollywood Hogan, and The Rock versus the new world order. Nash,
Wow.
Hall, and Pac.
Man, oh man.
You think about Hogan and his mic abilities. You think about The Rock and his promos, and then you think about Kane jumping on the mic and talking about his Canaanites out there. And both Rocky and Hulk just looking at each other like, what the F was that, brother?
Yeah.
And then walking
Rocky
into
even
the
goes,
arena, into what was already NWO 2.0
right?
before it would deteriorate into like 3.0 before the run was just over and done with. And like,
Right.
okay, this already went way further than it needed to go in about 5 months.
Right.
But yeah, just like I said, it's just one of those feel good matches.
It's a fun match. It really is. It's a fun match. The promo is way fun. Like I said, of
Rocky and
course,
Hogan had already had their match. Hogan had already come to the babyface side, even though he was still Hollywood.
yes.
Pac was back with the New World Order with Hall and Nash, where he really belonged. I
Wolfpack.
mean, if we're being 100% honest when it comes to Sean Waltman, if he's not standing next to Degeneration X, and he's not standing next to the New World Order, he kind of sucks.
Oh, whoa.
Remember X Factor? Remember that? Remember that? Yeah. Okay.
I will say, as a leader of a faction, he's definitely a few stars short of a Meltzer. I'm not going to lie, but on his own, he's damn good.
I'm not saying he's not a horrible performer, but he just really doesn't get over without being that, for lack of a better term, third wheel.
I respectfully disagree, and that's not just bias because he's one of my good friends. It's I think Sean is very capable and can carry on his own. It's just don't put him in for charge of a faction. Let him do him. He's good to go.
Number 9 on my list is the first appearance of Hollywood Rock.
Well, here we go. First appearance.
Yes. And much like the last match, it was just kind of the culmination of a bunch of stuff that happened backstage.
I know where you're going already. Yes.
The Hurricane.
No disqualification.
Yeah. Because we know we needed Stone Cold Steve Austin to help Hurricane get the victory.
Well, you know, it is what it is.
Which That's would great. Then help the build to their WrestleMania 19 match, which...
Yep.
Do you smell that, Jeff? I smell something coming later in the show.
Foreshadowing, perhaps.
But again, the backstage promos alone between The
Right.
Rock and the Hurricane.
Good Lord.
You know, what's the H on your chest stand for? You the Hamburglar? Go get The Rock some chicken McNuggets. And then when he got Rosie with him, he was freaking Grimace.
I was gonna say the
This is the
WrestleMania 20
Hamburglar
promo
and
is just
Grimace.
right there in my head.
But
Oh
it was
God.
one of those matches where
Oh man.
The Rock didn't need to do it.
No.
But Dwayne took joy in putting Helms over.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm sure if you asked Shane Helms today, he would speak highly of that because the Hurricane was definitely floundering for a minute. And Hollywood Rock came along, and people started to take notice again of our comedic Green Lantern knockoff superhero.
Do you think Shane sometimes goes down to ringside as a producer, especially on Friday when he's breaking up the bloodline, kicking everybody's ass and going, I've been around this damn family. I'm 12 for this shit.
Right? You know?
What's up with that? Anyway, carry on. Oh, Lord.
Let me see here.
I love me some Shane Helms. But by the way, like, Shane does not get near enough love, even from us who already give him love. We love us some Sugar Shane / Hurricane / Gregory Helms, dude. That guy, he's a solid performer. He's great in the mic when you let him go. And he's a nice dude to boot, which is so rare to find a combination of all three.
Yeah.
Just love me some Shane Helms. Excuse me, Gregory Helms. It's freaking kayfabe, but don't mind me.
Number 8 on my list is another return. And to hear the person that Rocky teamed with in this match talk, I didn't think The Rock would come back unless it was a big deal. To him, it was a big deal.
Yep.
WrestleMania 20, Rock and Sock reunion versus Evolution.
And I was going to say, and again, the pre-match promo was amazing too.
Yeah.
Buffet's closed.
So many of these are tied to phenomenal promos as well, but the matches delivered too.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and you figure, if memory serves me correctly, Rock, Hogan, and Kane did defeat the NWO, but Rock lost to Hurricane and Rock and Sock lost to Evolution here.
Yeah.
Great match is not necessarily made by the fact that the person we're talking about wins. It's what they do within the match. And Rocky, being the first third generation superstar, helped put over the current third generation superstar, the man who just a few days ago put titles for titles on the line to be undisputed tag champs. You know, Randy Orton has now had a 20-year career, 18 years since this match.
Oh, and who did
and you
Orton?
Figure, where is everybody else in that picture now?
Right?
Flair is about to have supposedly his last match again for the revived Jim Crockett Promotions.
Right.
Batista is making Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Thor Love and Thunder, whatever it is, the most recent Thor movie.
Right.
Foley is, depending on what day of the week it is, either in or out with the company. Right. And Rocky is the most popular entertainer in the world.
Yes.
Not in the company, not in the United States, in the world.
Yes.
And then there's Randy Orton.
Yep.
Who's 2 away from tying Flair, 3 away from beating him, and I still to this day will take it to my grave. If anybody beats Flair's recognized 16 times, it needs to be the man who was handpicked to be the future by Hunter and Flair.
Yep.
Randy Orton.
You mentioned Orton and Riddle, competing in a unified tag title match Friday night. Who did Orton and Riddle put over?
That's right. The Usos.
Rock's cousins. It's a circle of life.
And speaking of circle of life, we discussed just a few matches ago about how my number 7 match had already happened by the time that my number 10 took place.
Yep.
But it definitely needs to be on the list.
Oh, man.
Rock
Your graphics better not. I hate you.
From Mania 18.
Spoiler alert.
You can always come into my folder and jack my image when you start giving your list.
That's true. I already know your list of this. I will know your list by that point anyway. So yeah, might as well.
Good. I mean, you listen to Cena talk on Rock's DVD, and he even says that if you turn down the crowd audio on this match is garbage. From a wrestling standard grading scale look at it. But that's not what it's supposed to be about. You need the crowd. You need the electricity. You need the reactions to the greatest superstar of the 80s and early 90s going against the greatest superstar of the late 90s and the modern era at the time. Less than a month earlier, or maybe just over a month earlier, Hogan had finally come home. And his first big singles match was going to be against The Rock. That is what it was about. It wasn't about arm drags and leg locks and suplexes and Samoan drops, and arm bars. It wasn't about none of that. It was about the emotion, the electricity, the fandom. It was about making a moment.
Exactly. Which is what The Rock, the character in of itself, is all about: electricity, the moments, the magic of that's what the character really is.
And that's the only reason why it's lower on my list than what some people may feel it should be. Because at least for the majority of the rest of my matches, I can say they were solid matches also.
Right.
Kind of like my number 6 match. And I'm not going to give it a build up. I'm just going to throw it up first. Never before.
Ooh, let me
never again.
Survivor I like Series. You put this on there. It's a good take.
The Awesome Truth versus Cena and Rock. Because this match right here, the first match in Rocky's return.
Yes.
Since being announced as the special guest host of Mania, this match showed that Rocky still had it.
Yeah.
You can hear the crowd every move he does. You still got it. You still got it. Granted, the fact that he had Joe Henning working with him on his movie sets, helping him get the rust off and the conditioning back so he could get in there and go, didn't hurt none.
No.
You're working with the son of the perfect one.
That's it. Son of perfection. You can't go wrong with that kind of trainer.
So he was ready.
Right.
And it was just an amazing match to behold.
And just think about this, Jay. they talk about, he had his 20th anniversary here last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is his 15th anniversary within WWE, confines, if you will, and they're back at the Garden where it all started.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a major. Again, the match was definitely better than Rock Hogan, but the moments, the magic, the pomp and circumstance, if you will, definitely added to it without question.
100%.
Excuse me. Damn, that was hard to hold in. Sorry, I tried.
It's okay. Now, I'm seeing we're getting a lot of comments here going, so
yeah.
I'm curious to see them popping up as I go along. Number 5 on my list. I don't feel that the image that I found is authentic. I think somebody created it off of a video game, but it's the best I could come up with going with the match graphic images.
All good in here, my friend.
Because it's from that long ago.
Oh, Lordy.
It was 1998.
Ah.
It was June. It was the Igloo. It was the finals of the King of the Ring.
There you go.
It was The Rock and Ken Shamrock.
Definitely a creation, but still looks good.
They fought at the Rumble. They fought at Mania. They fought here.
Yep.
And dare I say that was their best match. There was not a dud between them.
No.
But I feel like that tournament match was the best encounter that year between the two of them.
Yeah, their pay-per-view trilogy was damn good. I think part of it for me personally as a fan was the pressure of challenging for the IC title was off of Shamrock because it wasn't about that at this point. It was about the crown.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, okay, I ain't gonna worry about a freaking DQ costing me a title. I'm just gonna go out there and whoop his ass until he's done.
The Rock needed Shamrock to be considered a legitimate contender, and Shamrock needed The Rock to get over as a major threat to any title.
Right. Exactly. Jake, not yet. We'll see if he gets there, if I get there in a little while.
Number 4 on my list comes off of the heels of my number 6. Once in a lifetime.
There you go.
The Rock and Cena. Obviously I'm going to pick the original match.
Right.
Because that's the one that Dwayne won. I honestly still feel this was the better match of the two also.
Agreed.
Definitely sometimes agreed. I feel like the rematch just has too high expectations and can't always deliver. Very much like a movie sequel.
Yes.
The first one did so good, we've got to do a sequel. And then the sequel underperforms. Because it's a cash grab. Right. Now, it's not to say that Cena didn't need to reclaim the loss.
Right.
I totally get that in the long run.
Yes.
But after billing it as once in a lifetime,
right,
you cheapen it by doing it again.
Yes.
And
honestly,
it would have been like if they had gone from never before, never again to the next month they're challenging for the tag titles.
Right. Although it wasn't an official match capacity because he won the quickest match in Mania history before that, but they did team up against the Wyatt family at WrestleMania. Just not official match capacity. So technically they went back on that one too. And by the way, I love that you had the take about the rematch not living up to expectations. The Rock wanted so bad for that match to get just as over. He legit, I forget, he tore some sort of muscle, like his abdominal or something, trying to give a rock bottom. You could see in his face. He delivers one rock bottom, and he just, like, his face just contorts with complete and utter pain because he's so immersed in it and trying to get the match over in front of that Jersey crowd, which is always a mucker fudder, that, he delivered so hard and so fast that he was just like, oh, he tore himself to shreds. So I completely agree with that. Great take. So observant.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, the Michaels Taker saga.
Yep.
You know, I still feel that the first one is better than the second one. Granted, the second one had the career on the line,
Right.
but I feel like they had to do something more to make it special. The original was so good.
Right.
Number 3 on my list. Uh, you know, 3, 2, and 1 could have been 1A, 1B, 1C for me, really, when it came down to it. But I didn't want to cheat, so I actually had to rank them. Number 3, I know of the last 3 on my list, is the hardest for you to watch.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I
yeah.
Quit for the title at the Rumble in Anaheim. If memory serves me correctly, Bruce was there for this.
As was Rift.
But I mean, you want to talk about corporate rock at his best. Dude beat Foley unconscious.
Yeah.
And they had to use the taped him saying I quit over the PA to cheat to win.
Right.
Was it a technical masterpiece?
Yeah.
Hell no.
It was barbaric is what it was.
It was guttural. It was vicious. Like you said, it was barbaric.
Yeah.
It was emotional.
Right.
To this day, I still tear up watching Noel, Dewey, and Colette at ringside in Beyond the Mat, watching him get beaten.
Bludgeoned. Let's be real about the terminology. Bludgeoned.
It didn't bother me when I just saw the Rumble as the Rumble. But when you watch Beyond the Mat and you see the behind the scenes footage, if you do not get just that rip at your heartstrings,
right,
then you're like the ginger over here. You have no soul.
Exactly.
And I know he at least has a partial one because this match messes with him.
Right.
But yeah, Rock Foley, I Quit. And it's like, what match do you pick from them?
Right?
There's so many great ones. I'm not going to lie. I almost, by about this much, Jeff, almost went with Halftime Heat because of it being the forgotten classic.
You know, by the way, I don't have any Foley matches with The Rock on my list, but if I was going to rank them, I honestly was going to put on the ladder match. I think that match gets zero love whatsoever because it's so forgotten also. So I agree with that I'm sorry. Dylan's on the wrong bus. I have to call. Go ahead and take it away. I'm sorry, brother. I apologize. Damn it.
We're live, folks.
We're live, and my kid's lost on a bus, apparently, so bear with me here.
I don't know.
Damn it.
Speaking of ladder matches, number 2 on my list from SummerSlam, The Rock and Triple H. Ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. When I first got into wrestling, as you guys know, I got into things around SummerSlam of 98. And this match blew me away from the get. Even though the pay-per-view was about Taker and Austin, that match is the one that caught my eye. That match is the one I kept rewatching. You know, again, forgotten match. Love that IC ladder match. You know, you think about what the Sean Razor matches had been with the ladder, and then The Rock and Hunter took the ladder match and they used it as a weapon instead of a tool to be flying off of. I think it's a great forgotten ladder match because you think about these days, you think about like the Hardys, you think about Edge and Christian, you think about the Dudleys, you think about what the ladder match evolved into, starting with No Mercy 99, that to have a match with these two guys just going balls to the wall and using the ladder to maim your opponent and then get the belt instead of doing a bunch of fancy high spots. Such a great match, in my personal opinion. Let me see here. Yeah, the Iron Man match against Triple H at Backlash was good too, but it's not one of the ones that I can rewatch all the time. It is very underrated, but again, it's just I have preference for this match from all of theirs. Out of all the Rock Triple H matches that I've had, this is my favorite, and part of it is sentimental because, like I said, it was the pay-per-view when I started getting into wrestling. Watching that match after work, Scott, cool. I greatly appreciate that, man. I hope you guys check it out and rewatch it. And that brings us to number one. And I don't know. I think I've lost count how many lists Jeff and I have done where this has been my number one. Rock and Austin, Mania 19. A lot of people say, well, what about Mania 17? For me, there was so much more on the line in this one. There was way more emotion. Was Rocky finally going to be able to get the victory over his longtime rival at Mania, the one place he had never beaten him? Was Austin going to be able to get through a match having literally just checked himself out of the hospital mere hours before? There was so much emotion riding in this match. You know, my favorite Rock Austin Mania match. Honestly, Jake, I think a lot of what makes me kind of turn off on the Mania 17 match is the horrid heel turn. If the heel turn had gone better for Austin in the aftermath of 17, I maybe would look at it as a little bit better. But I feel personally, and like we said, this top of the show, hashtag subjective. I feel that the 19 match is the better match. Plus, then you add the emotion on it. Again, 17, the Austin heel turn at the moment was holy crap. The anti-authority wrestler just aligned himself with McMahon and went corporate. And then everything from there pretty much went downhill. With the exception of the two-man power trip. As soon as the power trip broke up because of Hunter's injury, Austin's heel turn got over like a fart in shirt.
But you can't fault him for trying to salvage it.
To Austin's credit, his heel turn will be remembered for one word.
What?
What? What?
Exactly.
Literally, that is what his heel turn will forever be remembered for.
Yep.
So,
better or worse, it is what it is.
There is my top 10. Jeff, it is now your turn.
Okay.
I pass the microphone over to you. Hopefully, you were able to see what I was talking about while you were still on the phone.
I unfortunately had to look down on my phone and get this child directions because he can't use his phone his own self at 14. That's okay.
I will just briefly say then what you missed. Number 2 was the ladder match for the IC title.
Which I figured it would be with you, because I know for you with Hunter, it's down to that of the Iron Man match, and you waver a lot, but I also know how important SummerSlam is to you. So, and number 1 was Rock Austin from 19. All right, so I, for the record, love your list. Just got to say it right now. And based on the comparisons, let me see what we got here. We share 1, 2, 3 matches. None of them in the same location at all, for the record. So, and I appreciate the comments that were coming in while I was dealing with the emergency. I apologize for not putting them up. Thank you for putting them up now. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back and see what I may have missed trying to.
That is arguably the best take of the comments so far, because he's 100% correct. There is no way, no, Larry, I apologize if it's a she, I apologize. There is no greater trilogy at all. And again, this is why we do these shows, because it's subjective and we want the discussion in the chat room. That is beautiful. Thank you all for the contributions to the discussion, because there is great debate that can be made between those matches in that trilogy as far as which one is the best of the 3, without a doubt. For the record, I do have one of them in my list, and I won't say which one until I get there. So there you go. Number 10 for me. Okay, well, let me just start right off the bat with a bombshell. Number 1 is going to be the biggest surprise to everybody in this room and everybody in that room over there, for the record.
Thank you, sweetheart. Glad you're able to start tuning in now. Michael makes up a good point. Is the Austin Rock trilogy better than the Taker Triple H trilogy?
Yes.
I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say yes because the Taker Triple H trilogy, there was a lot of years in between the 3 matches. And the fact that Hunter basically fought 2 different versions of the Taker over the 3 matches.
Yeah.
First match was against the American Badass. The other 2 were against the Dead Man.
Yeah, I always say without any
Rock Hurricane. That was on the list, Jake. You're going to have to tune in, go back and rewatch. Go back
on demand, brother. It's there. It's there.
But yeah, Rock Hurricane was there, man. That was a great feud. Anyways, go ahead, Jeff.
So it's one of those, I don't consider it a trilogy between Hunter and Undertaker, because it wasn't a trilogy, because it wasn't contested as such like Rock and Austin was. Because, as you said, he was fighting 2 different characters. It was essentially 2 completely different scenarios. The match at WrestleMania 17 was Hunter coming out there after done whoop that Stone Cold ass. I've beaten everybody. And Undertaker's like, oh, really? Why don't you try me on for size? I'll make you ass famous. Back, being, my yard, biker guy, coming out to a better song of Hunter only because Lemmy sang it live and it was what it was. God bless you, Lem. Yeah. But then the series with Hunter in WrestleMania 27 and 28 was very much, you retired my boy. I'm going to come get me some here. But the following year was, he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to bury the WWE cash cow as the COO without taking Undertaker to hell and himself to hell in the process. Completely different story. So I don't consider a trilogy personally. So I appreciate the take there. Just trying to see really quick here before I get too wound up. Make sure I got my accounts in there where I need to be signed in so I can get messages if I need to get messages, because clearly I have to be aware of what's going on now. All right, here we go. Number 10 for me is going to be one of those, much like JJ's number 10 and number 9, just kind of fun matches. Just kind of it doesn't really usually make an all-time list in any scenario, but I feel it's important because it was the end of something that could have been great. And I think that the participants did their damnedest to try to make it a solid, definitive ending and make people remember it. And as I go to my number 10, there's your reminder. $15 super chat to us here today on the Dads, always on wrestling, will get you a Spanish language cover, yes, but a definitive, still plays English language copy of Rápidos y Furiosos 7. That's very simple. Which is the last Fast movie featuring Paul Walker, for the record. So there you go. As far as actually in the movie, actually being involved in the production of the movie, I should say he was still alive. So I'm trying to dance around saying the word alive because it's messed up. Anyway, number 10 for me is the Battle for Survival in 2001. The Alliance versus the WWF. And here, oh God, Jeff's praising the invasion again. Here we go. Yeah, I am. Because you know what? Yeah. The majority of the people in this room were not WCW or ECW people at the time, or even a good chunk of time before that. The two legitimate people that made their name in WCW or ECW prior to this circus of a storyline, of course, are Booker T and Rob Van Dam. Arguably the faces of their respective brands when the merger went down. Thank you, Jake. I love you, my British brother. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Good Lordy. Somebody's giving me some love, damn it. But at the end of the day, it's basically WWF 8 versus WCW 2. I mean, let's not front. And as we found out during the course of this, Kurt Angle's the mole, in the Alliance. But it's a great story. And the reveal of Kurt as the mole is just one of those WTF moments. Paul's flipping out on commentary. Stephanie's screeching her $1 billion princess little heart out, over the complete annihilation of her trust fund at the end of the day because they sold their stock to the consortium. Woo! So she was broke. Shane was broke. But Shane took it like a man the next day on Raw. You got to give the Shane O'Mac credit, as we always do on this channel. Right, Greg? I like the match. I like the storyline. I know I'm in the minority, and I get it. But I think the story of this match was very much this. You talk about the Survivor Series actually meaning something. This is an ultimate. The losing side goes out of business. Not a loss of job, not a loss of this, although those were involved. This is a loss of a corporate entity. Either WCW with its roots back to 1905 and or whatever, and ECW, Paul's baby completely being buried, at least for 5 years, and they tried to resurrect it, and they just hit it over the head with a grave shovel, as it was. Let's not kid ourselves. It's a battle for survival between the entities of our fandom's greatest time. The Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars coming to life right in front of us. Now, that's a little dramatic because it wasn't the WWF versus Flair, Sting, the Steiners, Booker T, all those guys like it should have been.
The NWO.
But the branding still was what it was. And for my money as a fan, I was rooting for the Alliance just to see what the hell they would do if it actually went through with it. Curiosity was yanking my chain. I was very curious. So, anyway, there you go. And yes, exactly. You can look back 21 years and go, fart in church. But when you're up in it, and you guys have to remember one very important thing about 2001 for me. Since the last week of August that year, I had done nothing but stare at a bed frame or stare at a TV from my couch recovering from a major car accident. So if I wasn't watching 9/11 and post 9/11 news coverage, I was watching the WWF. So, this was still must-see TV for me. There will be another match during this era that pops up here, for the record. Number 9, again, I don't know if it's the greatest technical masterpiece of all time. I really don't even think it's even close to that. it does rank often on his greatest matches, The Rock's, as far as if you look at other people's lists, if you watch other shows, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, this match is about one thing: ensuring the arrival, the anointing of the next big thing. And again, Paul's involved, as he do. When you think about how far back this goes with Roman now, and the fact that Paul is here in this moment, when the previous alpha male of the bloodline fell to his beast, and how far we've circled around here in 20 years, it all starts here in Long Island, man. It all starts here with The Rock getting turned on, getting jeered, him ending Sing Along with The Rock to go make movies, and the emergence of Hollywood Rock, which I surprised myself. Hollywood Rock actually is not on my list at all. I really surprised myself, but he's not there. Yeah, true enough. True enough. Except, unless you count the post-match here, he's not there. Yeah, I know. But this one for me, as much as everybody knows how much I love Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam moments, this one resonates true, and a lot of it is because The Rock put Brock over like Rover. I love the build-up. Okay. Here's where we get Jeff's lost his damn mind. The whiskey hit too hard. I love the build-up with him and Hogan, where he literally squeezes the blood of Hulkamania out of the Hulkster. I love the King of the Ring win, where he just whomped all over Rob. The build of Brock Lesnar all the way up to him leaving is still my favorite Brock Lesnar up until this most recent run here, his return, where he was Cowboy Brock doing cowboy shit. Sorry, Adam. Sorry, Paige. I love you, brother. I'm pulling for you Sunday. Kind of.
I'm not.
We'll talk about that on Sunday. But other than that, Brock, this Brock here was my favorite Brock because there was no emotion. It was just a straight ahead wrecking machine from March until Survivor Series, when Paul did Paul things. Unstoppable machine. He went over the Hardys. He went over Rob Van Dam. He went over Rocky. He went over The Undertaker twice. And, he was just a juggernaut. And Rock putting him over here was a huge, huge part of that. So much so, Brock was the last recognized, undisputed WWE champion of the entire company for 11 years. So Rock being the guy to take the fall was not a small part of that at all, which is why he makes my list. And you talk about a match for a world championship that really, as much as the other participant in this match was already a huge star and a main eventer, arguably in the fans' eyes, the person facing Rock in my number 8 had never won the big one. And then he did. With Stephanie McMahon's help, no less, at No Mercy for the WCW Championship. A championship that he very boisterously, after the match on WWF.com, reminded everybody that was Bischoff's title that he won in the WWF, and told Bischoff to F off during the interview, which he later expressed regret for during the interview, during one of his books. But yeah, you talk about the start of making somebody in the company. Now, if you read Chris's book, this run, the subsequent tagging with Rock, the heel turn after Survivor Series officially, becoming undisputed champion, the company wasn't high on him even then. But the fact of the matter is, regardless of what the old man said, did, whatever the case may be, yes, the marquee match of WrestleMania the following year was Rock and Hogan. But when it comes right down to it, for 2 of the big 4 pay-per-views of the calendar year, 5 back then because King of the Ring was still a thing, for 2 of those pay-per-views, Chris Jericho was the world's champion of the WWF. And it started that build because he became the WCW champion in the the WWF because of The Rock. And again, The Rock's performance in this match is so good because he knows Stephanie Dunn did him dirty. He and Cole Brothers, I thank you for that so much. Appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for commenting along. I really appreciate all the feedback. This was all so cool. I appreciate it. I hated Brock in that. You know, it's not hard to disagree with you on that one nowadays, Jake. Oh, right now it is, but you know, prior to now, I feel you. Lord knows. But again, Rock gets up, holds that little smoking gun, that chair in his hand, looks at Jericho like, all right, man, just remember, I know what happened here, but here you go. There's your turnbuckle. I'm going to leave. And he did. Jericho had his moment. Rock had his. Both guys came out of it looking stronger for me. Speaking of WrestleMania 18, I'm going to use my graphic, whatever. It's all good. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I've blown my wad about this match enough over the last 20 years. Let's not front. It's Hulk Hogan. He's back in the WWF. I mean, yeah, he's wearing the black and white, but I'm sitting there in my living room wearing the black and white, you know, cheering like a goddamn idiot. You know, it is what it is. And I wasn't sour on Rock like a lot of people were during this match because I actually enjoyed The Rock, but you're never, you know, despite social media conformity trying to make it a thing, I will never cheer against Hulk Hogan in a WWF environment in a match because it's Hulk Hogan. He's the reason exactly. He is the catalyst of why I'm sitting here next to this guy doing this show on my own channel. And him coming back,
Hollywood Hogan, this logo that we copied doesn't exist.
Yeah. You figure the DOW is very much in a different brand, but the words "Dads on Wrestling," that's a very familiar font if you look at Hulk Hogan's shirt on the picture. So, just saying. I will forever be grateful for being a fan of Hulk Hogan, and I am so tickled he was able to come back. And should it have been Steve Austin? Probably. Let's not lie. It probably should have been Austin and Hogan. But you know what? Austin was so burnt at this point that I don't think it would have been near as good as we think it would have been. And I say that because they did a little teaser there off camera on one of the Raws prior to Austin's walkout, where they had him and Hogan toast. Hogan was already back in the red and yellow. He was actually champion at this point. And the crowd was digging it, but not like, oh my God, in it. So I do agree with Michael, but I think at the end of the day, Rock Hogan in this environment was the better choice. All right. And yes, I did see that. I just didn't have a chance to read it. So
at least 2 of those 3 matches were solid contests to see The Rock fight. Let's be real.
And honestly, the match with Rikishi at the SmackDown, it wasn't the worst thing of all time. It's just a lot of Rikishi stuff in 2000 was throwaway because of that god-awful heel turn they tried to execute.
That was the only thing I was excluding for. Is like, you talk about a throwaway SmackDown, and it's like, which SmackDown was it?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I'd have to figure out which one to see it and see if it was decent or not. But I know the other 2 were solid at least.
It's one of those, unfortunately for Rikishi, once again, it's very much akin. Here, Jeff's going to bury Hogan. Stand by in 3, 2. Once the buck was passed, you figure in 1997, Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair have a great feud, just ready to go. And then Hennig cuts the sleeves off Flair's robe and hands it to Hogan. It's now Hogan's thing. What? No. Once the heat got transferred to Hunter being the mastermind, Rikishi's role was complete useless and shit. So anything he did between I did it in Anaheim and his babyface return at the end of 01, oh, that's right, you're still here. That's what Rikishi was for that whole year.
Pretty much.
And I hate that because I love Junior, but that's what it was. So number 6, all right, number 6. I'm whooping ass here. I'm loving it. I'm okay with it. As much as the WrestleMania matches were unbelievable, I think this match that we've talked about repeatedly, you and I alone, shows that both men in the match, one of whom was getting just pushing that babyface turn bubble with a freaking sharp stick. Both of them had undeniable appeal. This match showed, as sinister as The Rock could be as the corporate champion, as twisted as Shane McMahon and, of course, the greater power behind him had become, The Rock was still over enough where the crowd really didn't want to boo him. They didn't want to give him static for this. A lot of them agreed with him. It's like, you know what? The Rock should be a champion. Yeah, he wants to carry Austin's bogus belt. Go for it. Whatever. I don't give a shit. Go for it, Dwayne, by all means, please. We want you to be champion still. Just, we want Austin to be the champion. Can we maybe do Brand? Oh, wait, that's still 3 years off. Can't, shit, I don't know what to do. The fans were confused. So, turn babyface. Make Hunter and Undertaker the top heels. And it worked like gangbusters. So.
Could you imagine if the Raw SmackDown universe, the way it exists today, existed during that era, and Austin was the Raw champion and Rocky was the SmackDown champion? Holy crap.
I think there'd be far less discussion and worry about these 2.0s, 1.5s. People are like, how can we get it down from the 10.0s? We going crazy. Just saying.
Like, legit, that would have been some shit.
As much as
and
the
WWF that didn't start till 2002.
Yeah, as much as the WWF was already whooping WCW's ass by the end of 98, if they do a split where, because, I mean, granted, the roster was big in 99, but it wasn't inflated by WCW big at that point. But they had enough people where they could have pulled it off. There would have been no turning back. That sale might have gone down a year or two earlier. I'm not even going to lie. You got both guys carrying each show through 99. Yeah, just freaking done. WCW would have been already on Vince's shelf before the end of 2000. Kidding me? All right. So my number 5 is the second one that we share. Oh, go ahead and put that. I meant, what would that say? Ooh. I like that concept. My only hesitation is it feels like I'd be putting over the gimmick pay-per-views, which I'm so opposed to. So, but we can talk about that because there are the big 5, which I love right now. There's the other the former big 5 pay-per-view, King of the Ring, which we all both miss, and we all both, wow, one shot of whiskey, what the shit? We both miss King of the Ring to death. So,
especially me.
Especially oh yeah, seriously. I mean, granted, he has SummerSlam in August, except this year because they suck. But
SummerSlam is just my birthday month pay-per-view.
Right.
Next to the Rumble,
right.
King of the Ring was my number 2.
Right.
Then Mania. Mania was my number 3 of the big 5, y'all.
There you go.
Because I loved the Rumble match and I loved the tournament.
Yeah. I love the tournament when it first, and again, you've been able to go back and watch since then, but when the tournament first started, it was one qualifier on TV.
Timeout, Jeff. Dean. Scott, you've got my Instagram. Hit me up with your address. I will send this out to you at some point this week. Mondays are my day off, so I'm going to be busy working the next few days. Maybe it'll have to wait till next Monday to get in the mail to you. But you have just gotten yourself a copy. Go ahead and say it again, Jeff, because it was just so funny hearing it out of your mouth.
Rápidos y Furiosos 7.
Featuring got 3 more copies to give away today, gentlemen and ladies in the room.
Yes, how many more?
$15
3 more?
Super chat or more. Yep, 3 more to give away.
3 more, folks. And I'm just barely halfway through my list for the record. So there's that. So my number, and again, as far as I love the concept. It'll definitely be a discussion we have. We kind of have the year booked out. but a couple of the topics are still not organized, finalized yet. Well, shit. All right then.
I just want to say that's $27 from Scott alone today.
If ever there was a guy that I need to send the address to my mom for a Christmas card for helping get her money back for this damn Disneyland trip, it's gonna be Scott this month. So thank you for that, Scott.
Before you get into the next match on your list, here's another one: top 10 pay-per-view main events that didn't include top-tier main event guys. So we've got to be going by the last match on the card in that one.
Okay.
That's interesting. Like Jeff said, we pretty much got this year booked out for the rest of the year, but it's definitely something we can kick around and contemplate come next year.
And
because ever since Jeff moved everything to Mondays, my entire plan for next year got screwed.
Also, keep in mind that everything we do is fluid. Everything we do is what it is, as we say. Hashtag shenanigans afoot, no doubt about it.
Everything we do is subjective.
So just because we have it, I mean, granted, we do have stuff not even pencil. It's pretty dark pencil for most of the year at this point, but we haven't actually organized our lists for a good chunk of these. So something like that pops into my viewpoint. I go, ooh. And yeah, exactly. Neither one of these guys were ever considered the biggest star of the company at the time, right? That's a great example. I like that. JBL and Eddie.
It's his suggestion that he threw out the topic, so he's given us an example.
Right. Yeah. That as I was saying, that was one of those where it wasn't Rock, Austin, Undertaker, Triple H, but those two guys at the Great and that wasn't even the last match of the night either. Keep in mind, the bull rope match was semi-main for that god-awful concrete crypt fiasco. So, and granted, Undertaker is a top-tier guy, but again, main event is such a subjective phrase. I still say the bull rope match was much more the marquee match because that concrete crypt thing was a disaster from booking / conceptualization. It was a hot mess at best.
All right.
So anyway,
next on your list,
my number 5 is the second of the 3 that we share, but again, not in the same spot. The ascension of both men to the main event. Granted, neither one of them were champion, the WWF champion at this point. The Rock would get it at the next of the big 4. Triple H, of course, had to wait a whole other year. But both of these guys in this ladder match in Madison Square Garden, where the WWF ladder match became synonymous with greatness 4 years prior, I think that this match doesn't take place in this environment, in this pay-per-view, at this venue, neither one of them get a sniff of the main event as quickly as they do. You figure, even though Hunter didn't turn heel and really go for it until WrestleMania the following year, by the time Rocky became champion at Survivor Series, Hunter was one of his first main event challengers on TV. So this feud doesn't happen revolving around this. A lot of those guys don't get where they get as quickly as they get, for my money. These two guys are at the top of that list.
I think a lot of people forget how far back the Rock-Hunter rivalry really goes.
Oh, yeah.
It goes to Survivor Series 96 and The Rock's debut as Pineapple Jerry Curled, Smile So Big, Babyface Rocky Maivia, because Hunter Hearst Helmsley was on the opposing side.
As the Intercontinental Champion. Let's not forget that.
People, I think, truly forget how far back their rivalry goes.
Yep. Right on. See, Scott gets it. I love this shit. And again, this is me just kind of reading between the lines here. You think about their title match on Raw, Thursday Live, which again is a train wreck of a show. Well, it's not lie because the whole Lost My Smile bullshit. But maybe a week, maybe two after that show, Johnny debuts. And then Hunter's 1997, after 96 being such a punishment situation for him, his 97, you figure marquee match with Goldust at WrestleMania, wins King of the Ring, cage match with Foley at SummerSlam. Whether we all want to talk about it or not, heavily involved in the main event of Survivor Series, Hunter was a made man dropping the title to Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Because DX was a thing by the end of the year. And The Rock drops the title to, again, the show is for Owen today, to Owen, joins the Nation that summer. And
Hunter wouldn't get the Intercontinental title back until this match.
Despite challenging for it more than once against Owen, against Austin, against a lot of those guys. So, yeah.
From the moment Hunter put that strap, the OG Intercontinental black strap, square rectangular thing,
yes,
onto Rocky's waist in 1997 until August of 98, he did not get that belt back. He was European champion.
Oh, yeah.
But he was honestly not Continental champion again. And then after winning this, he had to give it up because of the injuries sustained within the match.
Yeah. It was arthroscopic knee surgery, so it wasn't like at the end of the world or anything. Like
but
he had later with his legs.
Where during that point, they couldn't keep the champion off TV.
No.
And then we had the tournament, which Ken Shamrock then won. It's the circle of life, as we've said a few times.
When you figure like this,
Michael hit the nail on the head.
Yes. Yes. Think about it this way. Hunter dropped the championship February 13th. He was not a title holder again, other than the King of the Ring, until December. But did he not have a career year that year?
Yep.
And considering that his buddy, his main advocate, was out of commission from February until I think Sean came back in May, maybe even June. Hunter's carrying the click load in that company, man.
Yeah. Michael, I'm going to give a hot take right here, right now. That IC title that's currently around, what's the guy's name? Oh, yeah, Ricochet's
bing, bing, bing.
waist is going to mean something again here in a week or two, because Gunther is going to take it off of him. Whether it's this week's Raw tonight, or if it's at the pay-per-view in a couple of weeks, Gunther is going to take that strap off of Ricochet, and then it will mean something again.
Yep. Greg threw me a curveball last week on the Greg Cherry Show. He reminded me the Intercontinental Championship has not been defended on pay-per-view, not just WrestleMania, on pay-per-view since WrestleMania 3 years ago. 2019. That is some shit, is what that is. Maybe 2020. Either way, at least 2, if not 3 WrestleManias without a pay-per-view Intercontinental title defense. Who books this? Oh, that's right. Anyway. Jake, honestly, brother, I appreciate that you're watching us, even though you're not watching the stuff right now. JJ was in the same exact boat when we returned on May 4th, 2 years ago now, right? Yeah, 2020 to do our Star Wars show and bring dads back because it wasn't worth tuning in. I will say this about JJ, though. He has gone more than balls deep. He has watched every Raw, NXT, and SmackDown since the Elimination Chamber to stay current and keep up with my obsessive, crazy ass.
And then in the last month, every Impact, Dynamite, Rampage, and New Japan show.
Yeah. So WWE is what it will be probably for a while, but there's life out there. So much you haven't seen. There is life beyond WWE and the McMahon home.
I understand that reference.
I'm glad you do. And if you don't, turn on a country station for the love of God, people. Anyway, classic country, prime country on Sirius XM. There you go. Don't you dare, shush, quiet, computer. There we go. I guess I said the word computer. Didn't realize I said it. I obviously see. Oh, I missed what that said. I'm sorry. Obviously, seven turn reality. There are a lot of yes. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of content out there to absorb, no doubt about it. So my number 4 for The Rock's greatest match, just kind of reeling it back in here, as JJ always has to do with me. I call this one the Return of the King. And no, I don't mean Lord of the Rings, because I wouldn't subject anybody to that god awful 9 hours of walking hell. Times 3. Times 2 if you put squared if you cut the Hobbit trilogy. Anyway, I call it Return of the King because The Rock almost had to return when he did. The biggest star of the last 4 or 5 years had left very unceremoniously. Rock was called into action and told that person, take your ball and go home. Cool. This is home for me. And within a month, he was back at the top of the mountain in a banger, as Greg would say, of a match. This is, for my money, the best match of The Undertaker's best reign as the WWF/WWE champion. And yeah, he lost the title. And yeah, he wasn't in the decision that lost the championship for him. But all 3 guys worked their asses off and looked amazing doing it on a show that was already pretty damn stacked. This is a good pay-per-view. It doesn't get near enough love for my money anyway, in a Ruthless Aggression era that was filled with both good and crap pay-per-views and matches. This match stands above a lot of them for me, and it's one of Rock's best matches. It's, like I said, it's Undertaker's best match of this championship reign, and it was Kurt Angle still trying to come off the comedic and everything that happened with Edge and Hogan in the previous 2-3 months, and he buckled down and got serious again here. And by the end of the year, he was champion again. So everybody shown in this match equally as bright. And it's one of those, The Rock came back with style and just amazing ability in all 3 of them. Michael, if you're a fan of mine, you know I don't watch Praise Triple Threats very often. So the fact that it's this high on my list says a lot. So, and it is very underrated. I think the whole show is underrated because remember, it falls between King of the Ring and SummerSlam 02, both of which were so good shows. Oh my God, were they good shows? So, yeah, 3 of the again, we had that Rushmore question a couple different times over the last couple weeks between JJ and I and then Greg and I. If you can have more than 4 on Mount Rushmore, these 3 definitely go up there for me. Taker should have went over. I understand they wanted. Yeah, I mean, The Rock putting Lesnar over at SummerSlam was definitely a good send-off for Rock, especially with the heel thing at the end off camera. And Lesnar's ascension was definitely better going over The Rock. And you figure The Undertaker had a challenger. Rock. Bleh. The Undertaker became Lesnar's challenger for 2 months after that anyway. So it kind of worked out for everybody, including a great Unforgiven match that ended up in a schmoz. Yes, but I got to see it live. And then Hell in a Cell was arguably one of the better Hell in a Cell matches in history. So number 3 is, I hesitated on this one. I did. Cece got this. Well, that's because Cece's cool like that. I hesitated for number 3, but I feel like it belongs because of everybody involved, including the person who ran interference at the end. I call it Judging the New Iron Men because it happened at Judgment Day. It featured the return of The Undertaker for the first time in his American Badass gimmick at the very end of it. It had the original WWE Iron Man in it, Shawn Michaels. And these two guys who were already the two guys in the company at this point showed they could go in there and wrestle an hour and have a completely different match than Shawn and Brett and still keep the audience in the entire 60. And
that's the key. That's the key with Iron Man matches is being able to have a match different from its predecessors and keep the crowd interested.
Yep. The way I judge it is this. Their February 97 title match really got them rolling. This match put these guys in the main event. This match showed why they should have been there sooner. Even with Austin as healthy as he remained for as long as he did. These guys showed that, yeah, Steve's been here and that's great, but we are just as, if not as great superstars as Steve Austin. So that's why it's so high on my list. And number 2, if nothing else proves that the WWF graphics department is just too damn lazy, because it's the exact same picture of The Rock in this one, and it's almost a full year later. This is my Rock Austin WrestleMania listing. So, again, I don't have to talk about WrestleMania 17. I think with anybody in our audience at this point, it is what it is to everybody. Like you said, Jed, subjective. I prefer this one more. As emotional as 19 was, as good as 15's match was, you and I both agreed on camera that the Backlash match is better.
Mm-hmm.
So this one for me, and again, you have to remember, this is 18-year-old me watching this in the living room at the old house with my dad next to me in his ever-present chair, as he do. Actually, no, he wasn't like this. He was actually a man like the rest of us. But all of us just what the effing at the ending. And I try very hard. And again, I love the Big Eagle, Jake, but the Winged Eagle is my jam. And Dwayne, it's good to see you, brother. I wish you'd come in about an hour and 22 ago, but it's good to see you nonetheless. You can catch us on demand. And since you're just getting here, Dwayne, let me say this. JJ's running a promotion today. Anybody that super chats $15 or more within the next 38 minutes or so will get a copy of Rápidos y Furiosos 7, featuring Paul Walker in his final role on camera as the character he played in Fast and Furious movies, because this is Fast 7. Yes, it's a Spanish language cover, but it is English dialogue. It literally is just a Spanish language cover. It's a collector's item type deal. JJ collects the collector's items. They're very much coffee table discussion type stuff. So there you go. So he is willing to give of himself for the benefit of those with $15 and or flash photography if you want to go there. So Scott, wait. Scott already got one today, so we appreciate Scott super chatting. But yes, Dwayne, that's where we're at. And again, everybody thinks of something different with the WWE Championship, because when I started watching it was the Winged Eagle. So, and again, I had it over here. I don't know why I had it out, to be honest with you, but thanks to going to this guy to a lot of independent shows, this one is really starting to get in the Winged Eagle category. Is one of my favorites of all time. So there is that. But as far as WWF Championships, it will always be the Winged Eagle for me. Always. Anyway. But yeah, Rock Austin at 17. I try very hard to filter out the everything April 2nd and after. Shit. Okay. Because you're right, the heel turn was garbage. The two-man power trip stuff was good. But once Hunter got hurt, it was so far off the rails. It was on a freaking dirt road by the end of SmackDown that week. It was just done. So it is what it is. I saw your comment, Dwayne, so thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the $10. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. As always, Dwayne, you and Scott are our heroes. Because, like I said, there is a tally over here on this wall, along with the list of movies that JJ and Aaron are putting for me together. The other tally over here is how how soon can I pay Mom back for Disneyland? So thank you, everybody, for this. I appreciate this very much. So, yeah, Austin Rock at 17. I tried very hard. Okay, the aftermatch was what it was. But the emotion, Austin's back. He's back where he's supposed to be. They're in Texas. Everybody's fired up. They're both bleeding. They're both just going tooth and nail. The intensity of a fight, of a fight of Roman Colosseum caliber, if you will. Just ferocious and visceral and just absorbs every part of my being every time I watch it. So we are at number 1, and we're a half hour away from where we're supposed to be. I appreciate that. Hey, making more money is always good. More super chats is even better. So thank you, Dwayne, very much for that. I mentioned at the top of my list that number 1 would surprise everybody, that it's my number 1. So there was that first hint. The other hint I threw out was JJ and I share 3 matches. And we've only had 2.
It's going to be The Rock and Hurricane, isn't it?
You give Josh crap for stealing your thunder. Quit.
Damn. Considering we're sitting and we're not next to each other, throw that up again. That's the dad's walk off.
That's right. That's dad's walk off. Considering I can't actually walk out of this room right now. The studio's still a mess. No, it's going to surprise everybody because of the person who lost.
Rock Cena once in a lifetime.
Now, people are going to go, how in the hell? The Rock did not need to come back. The Rock did not need to electrify that crowd at that other arena that's in Orange County that JJ happened to be at that show, which is awesome for JJ. I'm happy for him. But he didn't need to be there. He didn't need to come back and host that WrestleMania the previous year. He didn't need to do all these things. But he did. And everything was executed the way it needed to be executed. John needed to lose that match. Exactly. The year-long buildup was everything. You figure while Rock is off, much to Cena and the satellite crowd's chagrin, off still doing Dwayne things, John's there carrying the load. Getting booed out of an entire city in dropping the championship. Going through the program with Alberto and with Punk and, becoming co-champion, coming into Staples Center and losing again thanks to shenanigans, unintentional this time by Triple H. Thank you, God almighty. Preach. There's no booze in here. I swear on the life of my child, there's no booze in here. I'm going to toast that shit anyway just because it's so damn relevant. Holy moly. Ugh. And I will argue till I'm redder in the face than I already am in my natural state. That feud, that match was the last great piece of pure year or longer buildup of storytelling. Yes. And again, we've all talked about that in the circle. But John's, from a character standpoint, conviction of still not turning after he got cocky and got punked by The Rock at the end of that match in Miami. After Lesnar done bludgeoned him to a pulp, and he still got the damn 5 moves of doom and won that match, which even as a John friend, it's like, oh, no.
Think about this for a second. Think about this for a second, okay? Rock Cena 1 was 2012, correct?
Yes, sir.
If Rocky had won and then left, and then Cena had turned heel in the aftermath,
right?
It would have been 10 years, roughly, since Rocky ended Sing Along with the Rock and went Hollywood. 10 years later, Cena goes heel in defeat.
I have the benefit, for the love of God, of hindsight, looking back 10 years now. If John comes out on that crowd Monday night, or even in the aftermath, a few days after, 3 weeks after, and goes heel, Lesnar's return does not get near as much steam. Because Lesnar going against a heel John Cena as a babyface, or even a tweener, people would not have wanted Brock back so bad. It's a bitter, freaking nasty pill for me to swallow, but people wanted Brock Lesnar back in 2012. And bludgeoning and attacking the plucky babyface John Cena, damn. Hey, you know what? The fact that it's a legitimate 4 seconds and not the 9 second, 25 seconds, 9 second, 25 second match with King Kong Bundy, it's definitely an honorable mention. For me, Rock Hogan was number 7 for the record, Dwayne. So, JJ's, it was
7.
Okay, so we were in the same spot. Just kidding. Okay, there you go. So there was one. But yeah, and again, yes, and again, this goes back to, God, that was really disgusting. I'm sorry, y'all. It goes back for me to this. Hunter has said a long time. He said it for 20 years now that the championship should have the. Damn it all! You guys suck. You guys are terrible. You guys are the shits, but I love you anyway. Unless the feud is so unbelievably good that it trumps the championship should always be last.
Agreed.
Here's the thing with both those circumstances. Rock Hogan, the feud was better built. It should have gone on last. 2012, the WWE champion was in a throwaway with the man we've been arguing the last 2 weeks on this channel has been the GOAT, Chris Jericho. CM Punk, Chris Jericho. I had to remember in my head right now what the championship match was. Y'all need to stop the hurricane shit. Come on, y'all, for real. I'm trying to have a serious dissertation here. Y'all are throwing my shit off.
What made it was it had a happy face. What I looked at it looked like it had the hamburger emoji.
I see it. Yeah. It totally looks like a freaking hamburger emoji. I got you. There you go. Yes. I will get to that in a second, I promise.
While Jeff finishes his dissertation, we've got about 30 minutes left before we have to wrap up. We're going to do a brief Ask the Dads to start getting your questions in for us to take a look at here for your next 30 minutes. Don't forget $15 super chat. Much like Scott scored earlier, gets you your own copy, The Fast and Furious 7 with the Spanish language cover. Jeff, go ahead.
I had to remind myself that it was Punk and Jericho at WrestleMania 2012 because I was like, oh, that's right. Both the marquee matches we mentioned in that comment were so much better built and so not handicapped by Laurinaitis' on-screen crap. Let's not forget about John Laurinaitis being the GM at that time.
That was the summer of Punk. Like, that should have been built better.
Well, here's the thing. 2011 was the actual summer of Punk. He was changing for that full year, which I grant you. But yeah,
that's when it started, when he won the belt at Money in the Bank. But you figure he came back. Then at SummerSlam, he lost the belt to the cash-in. He didn't get it back to like Survivor Series.
Right.
So this was the, just a few months into his year-long run.
Yeah. And
this was the true year of Punk.
Yeah. And people still question why he wanted to leave. The fact that we're sitting here trying to, oh, that's right. Who did the WWE champion wrestle at Wrestle Friggin' Mania? Thank you, Jake. We appreciate it, brother. Yeah. Appreciate that on many levels, Jake. Thank you so much, man. But yeah.
And Jake, the current product across all brands is not as bad as the IWC will make you believe it is. Tune in, do like I do. Tune in and watch the Hulu versions.
Hulu, yo, friend.
3 hours of Raw gets cut down to an hour and a half.
Yep.
Much easier to get through. Give it a try, see if you get roped back in.
I will say watch NXT on Peacock, though, because Hulu was way too censored. The best part about The Rock beating Punk in the Rumble was... And again, Rock Punk is an honorable mention for me because it was Rock's return to the championship. But okay. And I do agree with what you say, Richard. I don't agree with that booking strategy, though. If you're not going to have the WWE champion be the top guy, don't make him be the champion. I mean, that's just basic 101. If your top guy is not going to be your top guy, he shouldn't be the champion.
Punk didn't main event until he turned heel and feuded with Cena. Where was he on the
WrestleMania
card as WWE champion?
As a babyface. There you go. He sat there in front of us and about 18,000 other people. The fact that Dwayne's main event at WrestleMania 9 not makes me sick. It's exactly what the fuck happened. And he was the damn champion. Sorry. Got all wound up there. But he's not out of line, nor was he wrong. So, I will kind of co-sign with this because Punk Rock had a better series of dialogue back and forth and everything going into WrestleMania 29. So I agree with that. And Cena Taker only doesn't work there because John was still such a undeniable white meat babyface. If they pull that trigger on John in 2013, absolutely. Because then you could argue if anybody should have done it before Brock and post Randy should have done it or Batista should have done it, it's a heel John Cena. Because did he really need it? No. But would it have been an ultimate push that heel ego further over that edge by taking the streak away from all of us? Oh my God. Can you imagine the Doctor's Ergonomics taking the streak away? We had never heard the end of that shit ever. Ever. And it would have been John doing it versus Paul Heyman's obnoxious voice for the last 10 years. You know, there's good and bad of that. But this match, Rock and Cena, the first one at WrestleMania, as much as I hated it in the moment, it made the most sense. And it showed that The Rock could still go in that last match slot. One-on-one against the guy. And lest we forget, this match, as I'm pointing, that would be a cool collaboration with
Greg.
This Rumble Lover and our Pennsylvania Rumble Lover. I am for that. We'll talk about that on Wednesday for sure too. Yeah, definitely. Without question.
We'll kick it around. I think this is something we'll have to do come Rumble time next year.
Of course.
Because we also got the top 10 surprise Rumble entrance that we were going to do, and we extended the invite for Greg to join us with that. Yes. This maybe will have to be the other show for January.
Maybe. We will see. But this match with Rock and Austin, you mentioned earlier the match with Rock and Austin at WrestleMania 19. So this match with Rock and Cena has Rock, as of now, being the only guy to beat the guy of each of the major booms of WWE. Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, and John Cena. So that is why, as much as people are back and forth on it, this match with Roman, if it happens, is going to be something way more special than people are even imagining it already is. Because Rock will be facing the 4th face of the brand at WrestleMania. And either Roman gets what he desires so much as that true head of the table, or Rock cements his place as that just a little bit higher on Mount Rushmore than everybody else. The George Washington spot. Just saying. Because then he'll have been the 4 at WrestleMania. So fight's going to be so good. Anyway, put that comment back up because I totally glided over it. I was trying to get that sentence out before I read that. I enjoyed Taker versus Punk at Mania. Electricity for that match was off the charts. Taker's last good. Yep. Good match, yes. The drama behind his resurrection after Roman and pretty much just thumping John, it was a cool moment. He didn't look all that great, but the moment was cool. But as far as match quality, definitely his last great one before the match, the fight with AJ. All right.
That would be interesting, but I don't think that's a match that anybody really wants to pay to see at this day and age.
I think
if it had happened in 03, 04, yeah. You know, instead of Lesnar Goldberg, if we had Lesnar Rocky at Mania 20.
Yeah. There you go.
Possibly.
Orton Foley one-on-one, and we get that match at 20. I'm all for that.
But here, some 20 years later, no. Because it would be Cowboy Brock.
Yeah.
And Black Adam.
Yeah. I think if Rock was around more often when Brock first came back, maybe. But definitely not now. I hope Ron. You know, we're going to talk more about that as we get closer if it does happen, without a doubt. You know, we'll have, especially if it's going to be at Mania out here. We'll be all over that.
Question.
Yeah, it's 100%. We'll be all over that. So
as the weeks and the months get closer to Mania, you know, I could be out of line here, but I got a feeling that Mania coverage here on the Jeff Meacham Network is going to start the Raw after Survivor Series.
If not that, that's the Rumble,
because you figure as you go into the Rumble and in the Chamber, but the Survivor Series is the last major match.
Considering my original strategy was to have the road to SoFi begin going into Mania, and then AEW said, "Here, hold our ticket." Damn it! So don't be surprised if that's the case. I'm sorry, I have any connection issues.
100%, Richard Morales. Neither The Rock or Brock would benefit.
Not once. And again, like I said, if Rock was around when Brock first came back in 2012, figure Rock's fresh off beating John Cena. Rock's like, hey, wait a minute. I'm the one to do that. There you go. It writes itself.
Paint Rock green and call him the Incredible Hulk versus Brock Lesnar. Now, see, here's the thing. Buy the shirt. When he was using My Time, we totally said the Trips should be the Hulk.
Yes.
You know, you figure the anger, the rage, the green strobes flashing across him. You know, he could have been like the second stage in the Hulk before you got to the CGI as Bruce is starting to turn.
Right.
But no. We already have our Incredible Hulk in the universe.
Yes.
We don't need another one. Please, God.
No, and we don't need and the thing is, we don't need a jacked Bruce Banner. That defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dwayne is certainly
like
jacked.
Our beef with Mr. Freeze.
Right.
Mr. Freeze is supposed to be a feeble, weak man until he gets in the suit.
Yes.
When you cast Arnold Schwarzenegger to be the feeble, weak man, it doesn't work. Now, if you had wanted to get, you know, let me see, mid 90s. If you'd wanted to get David Schwimmer to be Freeze outside of the suit and Arnold to be Freeze in the suit, that would have worked better. But no Batman people, no Schumacher. That's a bad Schumacher.
I would say I will give Schumacher and whoever was costuming a little bit of leeway. I only say that, dude, you're preaching to the choir over here. So
to this day, no disrespect to Lemmy and the rest of Motorhead, my favorite Triple H theme song.
Yes.
That was my Hunter.
With Mr. Freeze.
God damn
it. At least they tried in the flashback scenes. He's got the big lab coat on. They're trying to dumb down the obviousness of the fact that he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. So at least they tried to not have him be so, by the way, jacket off, me, big man. At least they tried. They get the parts.
Quote 1980. Try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
Y'all need to stop this fancy booking. This is ridiculous.
I threw that one up already. Said, "God."
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry.
Down.
Okay, it's one of those. See, so I get the whole fantasy thing because Brock lives in Canada now, right? So you get the Calgary Flames and the LA Kings backing them up. Then we can, then we get a little bit of discussion, or wherever the hell Brock lives. I don't know what province Brock lives in when he's up there, but probably Nova Scotia, knowing his reclusive ass. But anyway, so we are now officially in Ask the Dads mode for the next 14 minutes ish. So feel free to throw it out there, kids, if you dare.
Yes.
Still got the 14 minutes to get the super chats in for those copies of what was it? Rapidos de Furiosos, whatever the hell it is. Siete. Yeah, that. Fast and Furious 7 with the Spanish cover. Again, the dialogue, the movie print is not actually in Spanish. You can watch it in English. It's just a cool Spanish variant on the cover. It's a collector's item, if you will.
Exactly. That is all I use it for. It's a conversation piece on my movie wall.
Yes. I like the questions we have so far coming in, so that's cool. We'll go ahead and throw that one up there.
I was just going to say really quickly, while you're talking about the fantasy booking, don't forget that the open mic night prior to Forbidden Door, you're going to get fantasy booking from myself, Jeff Meacham, Noah Foster, and James Hebert on what we would book a legitimate Forbidden Door pay-per-view like.
Yes, so Friday the 24th.
AEW versus New Japan. Right. But Impact Wrestling, WWE, as long as the talent is with one of the major 4 brands, they are eligible to be booked for the show. Exactly. That's an open mic night you're not going to want to miss.
Yeah. That'll be the 24th on open mic night, for the record. That'll be the 2 days before that. So the question was, do we think Survivor Series needs to be fixed? In recent years, it hasn't felt like a Big 5 pay-per-view. I honestly
like the fact that in recent years, it's been Raw champion versus SmackDown champion. But I think that if they want to do something like that, they should just resurrect Clash of the Champions.
Right.
In lieu of Survivor Series.
Yes.
I miss the traditional Survivor Series matchups. The 4-on-4, 5-on-5 tag team matches.
Yeah.
Hell, the one year that they did the tag teams and it was freaking 10-on-10.
Yes.
And even further, I miss the Ultimate Survivor come the end. You have the winners from the elimination matches team together for the final match at the end of the night. You could be at a complete disadvantage. It could be 3-on-1, 4-on-2. Baby faces versus heels. Who's the ultimate survivor? I miss that shit.
The one year they did that was 1990. It was Hogan, Warrior, and Tito Santana versus I think DiBiase and the entire Mercenaries team, Sergeant Slaughter's team. That was crazy. And Hogan and Warrior survived because it's Hogan and Warrior in 1990. But
right.
Yeah, I would be okay with a revamp. I'm not a fan of them pigeonholing themselves into it has to be Raw versus SmackDown every match, because it's not what Survivor Series. The 1 year it was actually about that 2001. That makes sense because you're literally fighting for your company's survival. I get that, but like Jay made a great point. They had actually a decent concept in Night of / Clash of Champions. So yeah, let that be your champion versus champion, match every year. Don't do it at WrestleMania because WrestleMania needs to be feuds driven. So don't do that shit. But yeah, have Clash of Champions be, sometime between Mania and, either Mania and Money in the Bank, or even between Survivor Series and SummerSlam Survivor Series. Because the SummerSlam Survivor Series lull seems to be a lot longer and deader than the other lulls for me for the Big Five. I don't know why. It just seems like SummerSlam Survivor Series take for freaking ever to get to. So I would say it definitely needs a revamp, without a doubt. Oh Lord. Okay. Well, here's where Jay takes over the show because I haven't seen one of them.
I enjoy the original, probably the best, because that was the one that started it all.
Right.
Post Rocky, I do love number 6. That was in my top 10 Rock movies, as we discussed, because of the scene where he comes into the picnic barbecue.
Right.
And Tyrese makes the comment about hiding the baby oil, and Rocky fires back about hiding his forehead, which was completely ad-libbed, caused Ludacris to spit his drink out legitimately.
And Tyrese was butthurt on. You can see his feet like.
And I'm not going to lie, Fate of the Furious, the 8th one, was pretty good too. Yeah. I have yet to see Fast 9, the one with Cena instead of Dwayne.
Right.
And I have yet to see Hobbs and Shaw. My woman is trying to get me to watch it. I just haven't had time. The movie's in storage right now.
Yeah.
So, kind of just got to do what I got to do until we can get our situation taken care of. But as soon as I can, Fast and the Furious franchise will be covered on Renegades Reviews, which currently stands at 10 movies, and the 10th movie is going to be 2 parts. So that's going to bring it to 12 by the time they're done. Fast and the Furious, a.k.a., Vin Diesel takes Jason and shit. I would love if they brought Glorious Bobby Roode back. They either need to turn him back glorious or release him so he can go to Impact.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is why we're doing the fantasy booking, because someone asked, why doesn't Forbidden Door feel like a big thing? And Jeff definitely had his hot take on it, but for me, it came down to the fact that AEW and New Japan have a lot of the same stars on their rosters. So it's not really that big a deal.
No.
It's not like Moose is coming over to challenge Hangman Adam Page.
Right.
It's John Moxley. Oh, wait, he's Blackpool Combat Club and he's on New Japan's roster.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. There's so many of them.
Yep. It is unfortunate for sure. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That does suck.
Yeah, that is definitely a bummer, Dwayne. But as long as you come back here every Monday for Ask the Dads and the Dads Top 10s, every Tuesday for Talk Wrestling, every Wednesday for the Greg Cherry Show, you're definitely gonna get caught up and get your results and your thoughts in there, and of course we won't undersell Mr. Rift and his channel with his weekday recaps after each show, and then of course the No DQ review.
Yes, and of course, him and JJ Monday, Wednesday, Friday with the Renegades reviews. So,
well, but
much like
he's not going to get pay-per-view talk on those. That's
on Sunday. Yeah, that's true.
That's true. That's what I'm getting to.
Got it. Very good. I got you. I almost say that one kind of really blew everything because NXT as great as they looked, it went downhill from there, and it led to the 2.0 refurbishment. So
did NXT come off too strong in that show?
It did way too much.
Because I didn't see that one. I wasn't watching then, but it's like if your developmental is making your main talent look bad, there's a problem.
Yeah. And I don't care what, internals reports or BS will tell you. Main roster guys do not like getting shown up, nor do the main roster booking guys like getting shown up. So, okay, I'm glad you put this up, and we'll try to consolidate here as best I can. Sergeant Slaughter's turn in 1991, you have to remember, as much as the WWF tried to keep up with what was going on in the world and how things were developing on the news, in sports, whatever, the Kuwaiti crisis was so much more divisive than people remember 30 years later. People were so passionately full of hate for Saddam Hussein, for the Iraqi government and the Iraqi military, that when they photoshopped Sergeant Slaughter and General Adnan into a picture with Saddam Hussein, those death threats, all the stuff you hear in the report, oh, that's kayfabe. No. Sergeant Slaughter's life was legitimately in danger for a good chunk of that run. And yes, using it as an excuse to take WrestleMania to the Coliseum because of, there was a bomb scare. No, ticket sales were shit. Let's be real. They couldn't fill the Coliseum. WWE couldn't spank their own ass with both hands in 91 with creative booking at that point. It was Hogan or bust. Really. So do I feel it doesn't get recognition as one of the greatest heel runs? No, I don't feel it does, because it wasn't, because it was so heat. It was so much heat and so much hate toward it that it wasn't allowed to get the steam of a great heel run, because there was so much legitimate danger involved for everybody involved. It was a scary friggin' thing looking back.
Well, Soldier Mike agrees with Richard and says his face work is also underrated.
Oh, yeah. I will. When Sarge got his country back, prior to him becoming an official and becoming the butt of many a DX chin joke, I felt he also could have done more. His original babyface run after he came to WWF in the early 80s, late 70s was also very good looking back. So there was that.
Last one.
All right. Oh, that's okay. I like to see them bring those. They have brought the brand name back for house shows here recently, but the thing with Saturday Night's Main Event is it was very much a product of its time. Saturday Night Live's ratings were what they were with the crew they had in '85, which was not the best cast they ever had by any means. I mean, I'm not trying to shun SNL because I love that show, but the cast in the mid '80s, like '84 through '80, the immediate pre Myers Carvey Hartman cast was a mess.
Post Murphy, pre Myers Carvey Hartman.
Yeah, because and I'll even go one better. Murphy was the one shining star of his own cast. Everybody else before him, like the cast before Eddie Murphy was on that wishy-washy cast, were great. That Eddie was a bright spot in that particular era of SNL. So Dick Ebersol, God bless him, man, was like friends with Vince, throw him a bone once a month, and Main Event did so well it became a regular thing. So product of its time. I don't think that the concept, you can see it didn't work well in the revamp in 2006, 2008. I don't think it definitely would not work now in 2022.
Fair.
So, just my opinion, but it is what it is. Really quick, because we're getting ready to hit into Raw, and I try not to do that on this show if I can.
Yeah, I was going to just go into the plugs at this point.
Yeah, so Talk Wrestling again tomorrow, not on No DQ. Let me be clear on that. Not on No DQ, because they're going to be doing their pay-per-view predictions for Sunday for AEW, which I don't begrudge them. That's cool. We're going to be doing our coverage on Sunday itself. So there is that. Yeah. Wednesday, JJ's movie is
Rampage.
There it is.
And then be wrapping the week up with Skyscraper.
Yes.
And I have the right graphic and everything. Not pictured.
Oh.
This coming, well, because it was added, so you wouldn't have known.
Oh, okay.
This Saturday will be my review of Senior Year, the new Netflix original film, which premiered on Friday, May 13th.
Nice.
Starring Rebel Wilson.
Oh, that's right.
And this coming Sunday, prior to our pay-per-view coverage, will be my next episode of The War Zone, the weekly acquisition report.
Nice. Very cool. So that's on the Renegade side of things. Like I said,
Wednesday over for you.
Yes. And then Wednesday will be the Greg Cherry Show. It's again the usual fare over on the Greg Cherry Show. We got Weird State Laws, Q&A, sports entertainment talk, spin the wheel for a chance to be the new WTC champion. All that and a bag of chips. It's great stuff on Wednesday night.
State Laws for Michigan, so it would be Minnesota, I think, next.
Yes,
alphabetically.
So. Minnesota. So Mikey should be watching that one. Anyway,
should be,
but he won't. Just throw me off.
Assuming he's actually a fan of that state and city, you know.
Well, I mean, he apparently was. Anyway, Sunday's the key, my friends. My goodness. They be going to Vegas. AEW is going back where it all began. It's like WrestleMania 20 and shit.
And I am excited for this. I am almost as excited for Double or Nothing as I was for WrestleMania. This is the first AEW pay-per-view I will be watching as it happens and in the room to provide my reactions
I love it. That's so cool.
I won't be calling the action. That'll be with Noah and James.
Right.
But I will still be there to do my reactions, watch along, and then of course, after AEW Double or Nothing will be open mic night.
Yes. And
man,
it hit me this morning, Jay. It really hit me this morning. 9 days. I get to go home, man. Like I am so jazzed about this. I can't even. I could spit. I'm so happy about this show happening in a week and a half.
Think about this, dude. Think about this. Pull that image down for a second. Your return to the Great Western Forum. We've been on long enough. Fuck the Kia Forum.
Fabulous forum. Fabulous forum, damn it.
Western Forum could be CM Punk's first television appearance as the AEW champion.
In theory, that could be a thing.
Considering that 11 years ago, we were there when he dropped the pipe bomb. Considering that just a couple years ago, your dad bumps into him at a Kings game and gets his signature for you.
The All-Star game at that.
So. Your return to the forum could be him walking in as the AEW champion, bro.
I love it. I love it. I am, and again, if
on
the rest
the
of the
same card as Brian effing Danielson,
as our guy Frankie, as our guy Scorpio Sky, as the Young Bucks, as all these people who we've come to know and love so much in the last 15 to 20 years, man. I am like I said, the Jericho Cruise was a wonderful experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But there is nothing like a live wrestling show in that type of environment. And this is my first live television wrestling show other than WWE since, as far as televised on the air every week wrestling, my first televised wrestling show other than WWE, I think since Turning Point, 2004.
See, and the jury is still out as to whether or not I'll be going to Rampage.
Right.
But if I do, it'll be my first major company wrestling show since SummerSlam 2012. In almost 10 years.
And your first non-WWE show since when the hell was Thunder?
First non-WWE show since the indie show in Pomona, where me and Mikey went and saw all them.
Let me rephrase. Your first televised major wrestling show other than WWE since when was Thunder?
Yeah.
2000
or November 2000.
Yeah. So 22 years since he's been on or a part of televised wrestling outside of the E. That's crazy. For both of us, it's been over 20 years almost.
Yeah.
You're definitely over. I'm close-ish. So,
and then of course, next Monday, back here for Ask the Dads.
And no, that is not a typo. The reason we're having back-to-back weeks of Ask is because we wanted to make sure June 27th lined up with another anniversary, which we will talk about later.
And it'd be a lot easier to do Ask the Dads live from the happiest place on earth than it will be to do a top 10.
I legitimately forgot about that till you just said it. That's how focused I am on work right now.
Than it will be to do a top 10 from there.
Yeah, no, top 10 would be a mucker feather from there. Considering I'm literally going to be eating and trying to get out of the dinner table in 50 minutes. Yeah, no. Doing a top 10 would mean I have to start before we start dinner, which would be a train wreck. Dude, Jesus Christ, Scott. Thank you so much, Scott. We really appreciate all the super chats today. I think he's donated more than 15 twice, right? So give somebody else a damn DVD. What the hell? Jesus. I love it. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it, man. Oh, so cool. Michael's a regular on Stat Boy show, so the fact that he's here with us is awesome. I love that. That's
great. What? Since Scott already got himself a DVD, and since Dwayne donated $10 earlier, Dwayne, if you want a copy of the Spanish language cover, I know you said in the chat you've already got all these movies, but if you want it just to keep sealed in plastic on your shelf as like a conversation starter like I have it, let me know in the comments. We'll message you to get your address and you can get one too, because Scott over here throwing money away, and I mean you donated $10.
He's the big baller.
So the extra 5 here that Scott gave us, if you want it, brother, say so in the comments before we check out.
Yes. We were done plugging. Like I said, you threw me off the fact I forgot I was going to Disneyland and one day I asked the dad. That's how zoned in I am on work. So,
and then the day after your return to the forum.
Yes, and that's going to be interesting to pull off because I have a scheduled thing I'm supposed to be going to in the evening, but I can do that one from a remote location as well. But yeah, I am happy that I made the decision to feature TNA during June because it's 20 years of Impact Wrestling / TNA, and I feel that the brand is definitely worthy to love. And that very first show was a gauntlet for the gold in the main event for, at the end of the day, one of the greatest championships of all time in the history of the business. And it is that particular version of the title, the legendary 10 pounds of gold. So I am looking forward to that. We're doing the X Division Championship match from the following week, the following Thursday, History of Impact Wrestling the following Thursday, and then we go into Slammiversary, which is crazy. And if you think about the date of Slammiversary this year, it is exactly 20 years since that first show. So I am, like I was kind of ha-haing around on Saturday, I got 4 days off coming up in June, but I can't wait, man. I'm so excited because I get to go to Dynamite on one of those days. I get to go to freaking Disneyland on one of those days. I get to be with my people in the room on all those days. So it's going to be a hell of a June. And then July starts off with Money in the Bank, which I very well could be at if things all continue to work out the way they're working out. So
Same. There's
Let's
still the
friggin' go,
possibility for
man.
me to be there for that as well. And then also next Monday, discussed beforehand, didn't have it loaded up, no dates on it, so forgive us here. But next Monday will be the return of Renegade Recap.
Yes.
Exclusively on the Casa D18 Studios channel. It will not be on Jeff's channel live.
Right.
As we don't want to mess up the algorithms by having 2 live shows on his channel, especially that close to being back to back.
Right.
So Renegade Recap will air 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on the Casa D18 Studios channel. It'll be immediately followed by Red Notice, the final movie for Dwayne The Rock Johnson month at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern. And then Ask the Dads will be live on both channels at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. It's going to be a lot of me in one day.
yeah. You talk about Jim being stacked as a month. That's stacked as a day. That's next Monday. Yeah. So we thank you very much for that out there watching. We really appreciate all the viewership. If you're already watching Raw 10 minutes in, cool. God bless y'all trooping for 3 hours. Y'all are the true champions watching that show for 3 hours.
If you're still here out of devotion, we thank you. Yes. We're going to go ahead and let you guys go now. Get to Raw. Enjoy dinner time with your family. Enjoy Raw on the USA Network. For the dads, not always on wrestling, I am the Renegade JJ Williams. He is the West Coast Professor, Jeff motherfucking Meacham. Thank you, Scott, and we will see you guys next time.
I don't have the closing credits. I'm just going to wrap the show up.